Third series in the energy transition theme. It's the last of 3 series of webinars that were held this month and later in February. It's brought to you by SP Lagos section, and very soon you'll get to meet our speakers who will go through this session. So, on your next slide, please. All right, so my name is Chukskerry. I'm the SP Lagos section chair, and I welcome you once again to this webinar. Quickly through the agenda, I'll begin with giving a brief safety moment, and then I will introduce our speakers. I will yield the floor to them, and they will go through the webinar materials. And then after that, we'll have a Q&A session, and we'll conclude the meeting. Right before I introduce the speakers and just before the safety moment, I'll just like to quickly mention some meeting etiquettes. Please let us keep our microphones muted and our videos off. Listen to the webinar. Let's try not to be distracted wherever we are. If we are driving, please find a good spot to park so that you can listen attentively. You can save your questions till the end of the session. During the session, you can place them in the chat box, and at the end of the presentation by the speakers, I will go through as many questions as I can, depending on the time that we have left for this meeting. So straight to the safety moment. As we're all aware, we are still in the middle of a pandemic, even though things seem to be returning to normal somewhat in the country. So let's stay safe. Let's continue to follow the prescribed COVID-19 protocols, the non-pharmaceutical protocols, as you can see highlighted on the screen, and let us stay safe. So now I will be introducing our speakers. So we have Kingsley Okey. He's currently a Shell drilling supervisor on the drill ship in Bonga Deepwater field offshore Nigeria. He has written papers that are featured in NICE, Offshore Europe, and OTC. He attended the Federal University of Technology, Owerri, Robert Gordon University, Aberdeen, and is currently a doctorate candidate at the Schema Business School, France. Our second speaker is none other than Mervyn Azita. She is an award-winning Nigerian energy professional, intersectional advocate, multi-talented engineer, and presidential scholar with over a decade of industry experience. She's currently a business line product and service delivery manager, overseeing 2 business lines at Schlumberger across Nigeria and West Africa. She's an influencer and trailblazer, keenly passionate about sustainable development, gender equality, youth engagement, as well as cultivating the next generation of scientists, especially female technologists, engineers, mathematicians, and transformative leaders. He serves on multiple boards, inspiring a shared commitment to deliver a cleaner, healthier, secure, and sustainable energy future for all. Mervyn holds a BNG with first-class honors in chemical engineering from the University of Benin, as well as an MSc with distinction in sustainable energy futures from the Imperial College, London. Welcome, Kingsley. Welcome, Mervyn. And now I'll yield the floor to you to take us through what I believe would be a very exciting and informative webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chooks, for that introduction, really kind. So I'm going to share my screen in a moment. Good morning, everyone. And thanks to SP Lagos for the opportunity to be participating in this and presenting our thoughts on the energy transition and the roles of engineers. So let me just share very quickly. Please confirm you can see my screen.
Confirm, can see your screen. Thank you.
Okay. So we're going to start off very quickly with a poll or trivia. And I will put that up. So if you have your phones with you, please take it out and let's do some exercise together. So go to menti.com and enter that code. For those of you who would like to get a link, I'm putting the link right now on there. It's menti.com and enter the code 7086 6680. The first question is, how are you doing today? I'd like to know. Similarly, Kingsley would like to know how you're doing. So do we have people answering just now? Okay, good stuff. What's it coming up? Okay, 3 people. I see we have 35 people on the call, so looking forward to having something close to that. $13. For those living the dream, I'd like to know what's happening with you and how you're making that happen so that we can all be part of that as well. You can write your comments in the chat. Let's see. Okay, quite a lot of us are average. I hope we can move up to the 3rd one. Okay. Okay, 19. I think when we get to 25, we can move on. So let's make it happen now. 25, 20, 21, let's go. Okay, one more living the dream. Nice. Please share your secrets, Abeg. We want to know. Okay, 2 more and then we'll move to the next question. Who's making that happen? Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. If you're just joining, it's menti.com 7086 6680. That's the code. Just one more, and we'll be moving on to the next question. The next question is, what is one word that comes to mind when you hear energy transition? What is the energy transition to you, or describe it in one word? Again, if you're just joining, it's menti.com. The code is 70866680. Please tell us one word that comes to mind when you hear about energy transition. Okay, first one, energy addition, renewable energy, sustainability. Right, 2 words, right? Yeah, but let's just see. Okay. Keep going. We have 7 people just now, 9. There's 41 of us on the call, so it'd be great to see a good number of people responding to this. Trees, I like that one. Ten people, 11. Keep going. Okay. All right, whilst you're at that, I'm just going to move on to the next thing. So Kingsley, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mervyn. So today we want to just talk about energy transition and know how we all fit in this. We've heard a lot about energy transition, renewable energy, sustainability. This pack is just to let us know that we can join, right? And we can join in a really big way. So what you see on your screen is the outline. So we're going to start with what is energy transition. And as you know, to properly understand something or to properly participate in something, you need to really know what it means. And how you define it sets the premise, on how you want to go about it or challenge it. So what you see on your screen are 3 definitions of what energy transition is. The first one is from SP Global, where they defined energy transition as a global sector shift from fossil-based system to renewables. So basically, fossil-based are oil, gas, and coal, to renewables like wind and solar. So that's how S&P Global defined it as. The next definition says it's a radical shift from one energy system, right, from an existing model to a new paradigm, saying it is complex and goes beyond only the replacement of one source of fuel with another. So this is a little bit different from the previous definition. So it's saying energy transition is not only replacing fossil fuel with renewable. Now, the third one, which is like the second one, but with a little twist, says energy transition is a pathway towards transformation of global energy sector from fossil-based to zero carbon. At its heart, it's the need to reduce energy-related CO2 emission to limit climate change. So this is a definition I like. This is a definition I am employing people to to also like. And the reason being, if you look at this definition, they're saying they want a net zero, right? Or they want zero carbon. They don't necessarily mean we should move away from fossil fuel. What it means is that you could do fossil fuel, but as long as you can net it, then it's okay, right? As long as you do not emit excess CO2, then it's okay. So if you like this definition and you want to think about energy transition with this definition, what it means is that it opens a lot, a lot for everybody. Opens, a lot of creativity, a lot of jobs. It doesn't necessarily stagnate the current courses and skills we have now, right? It means we can use these our skills in participating in this energy transition. So the next slide will now kind of describe, how is this thing happening in Nigeria? What are we doing, right? Are we participating? Are we retooling? Are we maintaining our old skills? Are we getting new skills? So what you see is just the spectrum of, how people have described what energy transition is. The extreme end to your left is basically oil. To your right is the cleaner ones and things like solar energy. To the middle, some people describe it as pink, or so basically where you see gas, nuclear, biomass. I'll kind of describe maybe in a snapshot some of what is happening in Nigeria based on this. The main reason we need energy, basically, or one of the most important, is for electricity. Others are just to maybe power our cars and things like that. So for Nigeria, we know we produce, a lot of oil and gas. It's not enough for even domestic consumption. We export most of them. And what we're doing is to see how we can drive our economy, right? At least producing this domestically. We all know for oil, we're trying to revive our refineries, and we're building the Dangote refinery. We also have little project modular refineries that we're also doing, popping up here and there. So there's a great opportunity in the next 30 to 50 years. These things will still be running. We will still need oil for certain things, right? We will still need diesels for certain industries. And I'll explain why and how that fits into the whole energy transition. So the next is gas. Nigeria, we know we have even more gas than oil. And our electricity master plan basically is based on gas. We've seen how most countries have done, they power their nations on gas. Saudi Arabia, most of Europe, people like Russia, the US. So what we're doing is we have the gas, we have some thermal stations, but it's not enough. Nigeria needs like 100,000 megawatts of electricity, right? To be able to have 24 hours lights for everybody, 200 plus million people. But we're not building enough gas plants. We're not drilling enough gas wells to be able to meet this. And we know gas is a lot cleaner than diesel or petrol. So there is that plan, right, for us to be able to do this. Right now we have 3 ways in which we want to use gas for electricity. We pipe with big pipes, 36-inch pipelines. An example is the Lagos Extragas gas pipeline. Another one we are building about the 3 billion project, the AKK pipeline to the north. If we can distribute effectively our gas around Nigeria, what it means is we can spread gas plants, maybe from 5 megawatts to 50 megawatts, and that will increase our electricity generation and, reduce our carbon, emission. We also have CNG. CNG is kind of like a compressed gas. Right now, we're trucking them. A lot of companies are doing business in this space. One of the companies, PowerGen, does about 70K standard cubic, and they truck it to Lagos to captive gas plants. And those guys are, flexing. They're enjoying electricity at between maybe 50 to 90 kilowatt per hour, while the diesel guys are paying about 170 right now. So gas for Nigerian electricity, there is a lot of potential. We need to just, get our policies right, finish most of these pipelines we're doing, and get this gas, everywhere. For hydro, Nigeria started as hydro, right? Most of us know the Kainji Dam. Most of our power is also hydro. The reason is we have source, we have rivers, right? River Niger, River Kaduna, and things like that. So hydro it's coming up. We have a plant called Zungeru power plant. It's a hydro. They are damming river, I think it's River Kaduna also. That plant is going to be the second biggest in Nigeria after Kainji. It's about 700 megawatts. They're going to complete it in phases. I think one of the phase, 175 megawatts, will be completed this year. And that is, that would be super. Imagine bringing something like a Kainji to our grid. So there's another very big one, Mambila. Mambila has been having a lot of issues. That's going to be maybe the second biggest plant in Africa. It's about 3,000 megawatts, 3 gig-ish. They had issues with contractual problems, but I think they've settled it, and work will start probably this year or next year. Realistically, that will be finished maybe in 2030 or so, because it's a very big project. For nuclear, we don't have a nuclear power plant. I mean, in Africa, I think it's only South Africa that has nuclear. We have a contract, Geregu. I think we signed with the Russian Nuclear Corporation to build 2 nuclear plants. One somewhere in Akwa Ibom, and the other one, I think, in Kogi, also, or Kwara. So those 2 nuclear plants will give us about 5,000 megawatts, about 2.5 each. If things progress, maybe 2028 or 2030, Nigeria will put nuclear energy online. So for biomass, biomass is also big. We want to do biomass in bulk. Right now we still do biomass, where people burn maybe chicken feed or firewood to produce energy. But we want to do biomass plants. I think the NMPC is betting big on this. If you go to the NMPC website, you will see that they're serious about biomass, right? Biomass is actually one of their top renewables. 2 or 3 years ago, they put up a contract, $300 million contract for a biomass plant somewhere in Benue. And they have plans, right, to put all these biomass plants on stream. So we'll see how that goes. For wind, I think somewhere in Castina, there's a 10 megawatts wind project that is being developed, that is on the pipeline. We also have offshore wind, and because Nigeria we have capacity for offshore work, building platforms, floating platforms, fixed platforms. We know how to concession offshore blocks. So a lot of people are starting to play with these parts, or this offshore wind. For hydrogen, Nigeria there's no traction in Nigeria for hydrogen. And meanwhile, in the world, hydrogen is getting really big. About 54 gigawatts of hydrogen projects is ongoing this year. We don't have anything in Nigeria. There are two types of hydrogen project. There's a green, that's a blue. The green is producing hydrogen from electrolysis. The blue is producing hydrogen from natural gas. And because we have natural gas and the demand for hydrogen will increase, most engines may start to run on hydrogen. For people interested in this, now is the time for you to start looking, at how you can come in here, for hydrogen, whether it's from policy making, development, finance, or whatever it is. But just know that hydrogen is going to be so big, and we think by 2035, hydrogen will be maybe 15% of the world's, or 15% of electricity will be produced from hydrogen. For solar energy, I think this is where Nigeria is, there's a lot of noise here, right? Nigeria is not doing as well as other places, but this is our best renewable. What we're doing right now is about 200 megawatts a year, at least for the last 5 years. And we want to do more. And where this is interesting is solar is cheap, right? Because we have the sun. If you do a hybrid, say solar and diesel, solar becomes 35 naira per kilowatt, for example. It reduces your diesel from 170 with today's price of diesel to, say, about 90. So solar, we need to inject more solar in our grid. Solar with battery, it's also has gone cheaper now. It's way, way cheaper than diesel. The only problem is we don't have finance for the upfront cost, right? Solar is more like your hydro, where you need to spend so much upfront and very little, as you go. So if we can unlock financing solar projects, your solar and your battery in your house, no matter how you see it, is way, way now with this price of diesel 2 times cheaper. So this is, a place where most of us, we need to start looking at, what's going on in this sector. From your panels, panel manufacturing, batteries, inverters, even the development of this project, how you mix solar and gas, they call it PV diesel, PV gas, so this is going to be very big, at least in the next 5 years in Nigeria. So the next slide, I haven't talked, you've seen what's happening in Nigeria, a different project and different potential. The chart on your left, tells the whole story. Nigeria, Pakistan, Indonesia, Brazil, similar countries, similar technical capacity, similar population, emerging markets. But this is where Nigeria is, generation of electricity. This is where you can see where Brazil is, you can see where Pakistan is. What it means is there's too much work, a lot of work. We just have to find a way to unlock it. We have our traditional reservoir engineers, well engineers, mechanical engineers in the oil and gas industry, drilling, exploring, producing this oil. But look at your right hand, right? New type of jobs are coming up. Energy analysts in the renewable space, reservoir engineering, project developers and managers. How do you develop a project from start to finish? Data analysts, design, and the whole lot. So you can see right now is the time for us to start saying, what are these kind of jobs? How can I skill myself to do this kind of jobs? Where or how big will this kind of jobs be in the future? Let me give you an example. They are looking for people, for example, to develop mini grid sites, 2 megawatts around communities of 10,000 population or more. Who is going to develop the job from start to finish, right? You look for land, you sign land agreements, you get an EPC to build it for you, you execute your PPA contracts, you do your economic analysis, your NPVs and things like that. We have those skills. People do it in the oil and gas industry, right? But for renewables, we do not have enough people, to do that. So this is the time for us to start transferring those developmental skills in the oil and gas industry, right? You know how your FDP is. We need those kind of people in renewables, in renewable development, in hybrid development. The next slide will kind of show you, maybe move to the next slide. So to show you, give you an idea of the jobs these courses can give you. So if you look at reservoir engineer, right? We know what a reservoir engineer does with oil and gas production. But if you want to do, let's say, blue hydrogen in Nigeria, you will need to capture the carbon, right, to net off your zero. And it's only in reservoir engineers, or the skills reservoir engineers have, will enable us do a carbon capture and sequestration. No other transferable skills in the oil and gas industry, right? The reservoir engineers can do that. And right now they are doing that. So if you can Google what the likes of Exxon, Total, and Shell is doing on carbon capture. If you're going to capture this carbon and store them or take this carbon back to where you got them from, you also need well engineers to drill these wells. And not just drill these wells to a reservoir that can actually hold this carbon. So the well engineering skills is still very necessary with the energy transition. And for mechanical engineers, if you look at the diagram to your right, installation of offshore wind, those things, people will have to go and build those windmills or wind vanes. The civil engineers will have to power these things to the ground. And these projects can last you 30, 40 years. So mechanical engineers are needed with offshore wind, with hydro, with gas. So you could just read down and see that even our traditional skills, right, we can actually participate in this energy transition. The barcode to your right will list you a lot of jobs, new energy jobs, so just go through that list at your spare time. I'll just maybe allow 30 seconds here for people to use their phones to, to get the link for those jobs. Start to think about what courses or what training I can do. What kind of understanding do I need? How do I match my present skills or my present educational background with these new jobs that are coming? 30 seconds, 29 seconds. Okay, next slide. So I'll just let Mervyn talk to us about the examples of career paths and a mapping exercise. Mervyn.
All right, thank you so very much, Kingsley. That was very insightful. And I just wanted to highlight 3 of the things that I took out very quickly from that. The first one is the energy transition is a shift in energy sources, in energy systems, in energy paradigms to satisfy global energy demand in such an affordable, inclusive, reliable, and sustainable way. And if we go back to the exercise we did previously, you will see some things coming through like sustainability. And Like Kingsley and I were discussing yesterday, there's been a number of transitions in the past. This particular transition is clearly driven by sustainability, especially the 4Ds, which are decarbonization, digitalization, decentralization, and even democratization. But clearly, something that comes through a lot, and even as you have seen in this particular exercise that we did, is that sustainability is key, right? So we have to do it in a sustainable way. Second thing is that the energy transition is not only focused on the energy sector, it actually impacts multiple sectors. You will see the energy transition being talked about in the building and construction sector, which is why civil engineers will still be relevant. It's impactful for the food or agricultural sector, a number of sectors, even health sector or pharmaceuticals and fashion. And the third thing is that engineers, regardless of which sector you're working in, whether it's oil and gas, and because oil and gas is the focus for this conversation, you have transferable skills that could be critical to all aspects of the energy transition. And these skills can easily find expression in a number of things. You can leverage those skills as well to drive the creation and deployment of scalable solutions and technologies that would help us achieve that sustainable future that we all want to have. The reason I put these two profiles here for you is because I know them very well. I know how much they've transitioned from traditional oil and gas into new and emerging, energy or digital or tech or whatever policy, landscapes. The first one is Andrew Baxter. We joined Schlumberger together 10 plus years ago. Today, Andrew has taken whatever skills he learned on oil and gas projects to driving policies in the energy sector, even now to drive advancement in the energy transition. Owen is my mentor, and he started off as well from Schlumberger, moved on to Baker to drive sustainability in Baker. And today he works in Amazon Web Services, driving tech or digital or cloud infrastructure for the energy sector and beyond. So clearly, these two guys are engineers who have literally taken their skills, whatever skills they've, honed or developed whilst working oil and gas, to now drive the energy transition in different spaces, policy and tech. So as engineers, that's the message for you. If there's nothing else you take out of here, is the fact that you have skills that could be transferred. You can pretty easily and successfully pivot from oil and gas into these emerging or new frontier spaces. So I wanted to help us do an exercise to identify the areas that we can pivot to and to understand what's required to get there. So Kingsley and I really did think through this one to make sure that you get the most out of this presentation. So I'm going to start off with this slide, which is pretty much showing the process to identify where you can go and what you require to get there. So you pretty much want to start with what you are currently doing, what your experience is at the moment, what your skill set is at the moment, where you're going. So in terms of your short-term or long-term goals, what's required in that particular career or role or job that you want to get to, and what's required as actions for you to get there. I was going to do an exercise and I'd like you to join me. So you get out your pens and papers or notepads so that we can do this together, because I'd like one or two of you to share your own findings or results with us when we finish. So I'm going to start with my short-term goal or long-term goal, whichever one you decide to classify it as. So today, I'm business line PSD manager at Schlumberger, which is simply operations manager. And in operations, there are certain skills that I need to have to be able to deliver performance on my role. but I'm looking to maybe go to some role like the Global Director of Energy and Sustainability, for example. So it's an example. And if you remember, Kingsley had shown you a barcode that lists out new energy jobs or green jobs or renewable jobs that you can easily do as an employee or as a professional in the energy sector or wherever else you find yourself. So if you look through that list, you can find a number of jobs that may be interesting for you. So just take one out of there, put it on your notes as your goal, and then think about where you are today. So for me, my goal for this exercise, not necessarily what I may want to be, is Global Director of Energy and Sustainability. So I have that as my goal on one side. And on my current role, experience, and skill sets, I have the fact that I'm an operations manager today, right, as my role. The experiences I've had is I have 10 plus years in the energy industry. I've done a few things around energy, around sustainability. I've been exposed to some sustainability projects with the World Energy Council, so I have that listed. My skill set, I have leadership, I have communication and organizational skills, so that's there on my list for current skill set. I have excellent computer and systems knowledge. I hope you're doing the same exercise as I'm doing, so write your skill sets as you go. I have delegation. I have project management. I have execution management because I've had to execute a number of projects. So those are the current skills I have. I have business acumen. As a business line manager, I've been able to manage business and also identify some financial objectives and deliver on those. So financial management. What are the required experience and skill set for the job I want to get, like Global Director of Energy and Sustainability? One way to find the skill set required or experience required for that is to go through LinkedIn. So maybe I'll just show you very quickly how that works. For those who may not know, just give me a moment. So LinkedIn. Can you still see my screen? Can you see my screen?
We can see the mapping exercise slide. I know your link.
Okay, let me just new share. Can you see my LinkedIn just now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so if you had looked through that list of jobs and you found something, for example, I said mine was Global Director, I just put that there. So I go to jobs and I put the job I wanted. I will see a number of jobs that are available for people to apply. So if I click the first one, for example, I can tell what skills are required for this role by going through the information. So I come here and I see that for me to become or to get that kind of job, I need communication skills, I need financial knowledge, I need reasoning ability. There are other skills I need like carbon footprint, reporting experience, and all of that. So I can do this exercise, check for a number of these kind of jobs and find out what skills are required. So now let's go back to my exercise. So I've done that activity, looking out for the skills that are required to become Global Director of Energy and Sustainability. And I have financial knowledge, I have carbon footprinting or carbon reduction and sustainability strategies. I have that listed. I have strategic planning and leadership. I have data management and analysis. I have change management, I have contract management, I have process engineering. So you can have up to 10, 15 skills required to become Global Director of Energy and Sustainability. So if I look through my current skill set and the future skill set, what is missing for me? I can tell that contract management is missing. Data management and analysis, I have amateur knowledge, I would say, so I still need to do more. So I would highlight that. For carbon footprinting and negotiation, I have some gap there. So I have a gap in negotiation. So I haven't really negotiated any of those kind of deals or that kind of role. So I'm going to highlight that. So I have 4 of those skills that are clearly gaps for me. The next exercise is to identify what my action plans are. So how do I close these gaps? What are the things I can do to make sure I develop these skills? So the first thing is I will take specialized programs or courses on carbon footprinting or carbon footprint measurement and reporting, all of that. I would want to do some advanced or specialized course there. So my first action is, specialized programs. For the data management and analysis, I think I also can take some courses. So I can either sign up for one of those fancy courses in any of those great schools, or I can ask for a role that allows me work on data analysis and management. So 2 things there: take a course or ask for a project or a role that allows me to build that skill. And then the third thing I think I can do very quickly for any of them, whether it's carbon footprinting or negotiation or contract management or data analysis, is to find a mentor. So today I've shown you one of my mentors who is working in Amazon Web Services. So I can easily reach out to him and say, hey, I'm looking to build some leadership or thought leadership in data management and analysis or negotiations. What can you do to help me get that done? So find mentors on similar path. Or I can find someone who is also a global director of energy and sustainability and reach out to the person and say, please, I'd really love your role, or I'd love to know what you do in your role, and also to, develop some skill set that help me get to that kind of role in the future. So 3 things are my actions, and I'm going to work on them if this is clearly what I want to do. So do you see how simple it is to set yourself up for whatever role you want to drive the energy transition? It's one thing to draw up the action plan, it's another thing to actually do work, get busy doing whatever you have to do. Set yourself a timeline. There is the principle called SMART. So you have to make sure it's specific, it's measurable, it's actionable. You look at all of those things and you do them. It's time bound. So make sure that you complete the exercise if you haven't done it. And for those who have just done something, I'd like 1 or 2 persons to share their own results with us. So who's going to volunteer? Put your hand up.
So let me volunteer and do mine maybe in a minute or 2.
Okay, great. I love it.
So like they say, right, begin with the end in mind. So you see where you see your goals, just say, what is my goal? So for me, as an example, I say I want to build and run the biggest carbon trading platform in Nigeria, right? That's my goal, maybe mid-term or long-term. Then after that, I go back to the starting point. what is my current role, what are my experience, and what is my skill now, right? Or what skill set do I have? So for example, right now I'm a supervisor, right? So I have good engineering skills. As a supervisor, I manage a lot of people, so I have people management skills. I have analytical skills because I'm an engineer, some computer skills. And because I manage people, I also delegate, right? So those are my, skills. So what's the next, right? Remember, my end is to build a carbon trading platform. So where I am, I said, look, I want to, instead of drilling oil and gas wells, I want to join projects, right? Or develop projects that they drill wells to capture carbon. So then I look for roles, maybe my company or somewhere else, where I can start to get that skills, see how these things are done and these projects are developed. So that's a gap, and that's what I'm going to look forward to. But because my end is running a business, right? Building and running, I will need things like financial skills, business skills, contract management skills, project management skills. So right now I'm doing a doctorate in project management, right? Where I can learn program management, project management, business, financial management, and things like that. Then the next will be, another gap will be, because you're going to build, it's going to be like a tech platform, right? You will need some certain level of tech skills, product development, programming, coding. So what am I doing now to close the gap, right? It's pretty very easy. So it's either you're building something, you're developing something, you're investing in tech, or you're networking with people, right? Your newfound friends should be people in tech. Because those are the guys that will, if you're in a team, those are the guys that will help you build this if you're not a coder. And even if you're a coder, you still need that kind of team. And you still need to share that kind of vision with people that have delivered, right? So I'm deliberately looking for the people with these kind of skills to make my friends. And so you can see, by the time I close this gap, maybe in the next 5 years, I can now say, or even sooner, right? I can now say, okay, let's see how we can build this platform. And by this time, I know, I know all the projects, all the renewable projects, all the solar projects around Nigeria. I know people that have them. I can now start marketing to them. I can sell your carbon capture for this price or for that price, right? I can develop new businesses or advise or consult to people to build their projects, even though it's oil, whether it's oil and gas, solar projects, in the mind that they can also make additional income by just selling their carbon credits. So that's how I've mapped out how I can get involved in the energy transition.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you very much, Kingsley. Anyone else wants to share? If we still have time.
So Fayama is really participating. I don't know if Fayama wants to say something.
Yeah.
Maybe you can unmute him.
Fayama, please.
Okay, so no, I will give the vote of thanks at the end. I'm just thrilled at all the contributions and points, nuggets that are being shared. I hope that the team are taking notes as well.
Okay, thank you very much. So anyone else wants to share their exercise with us? Okay, hopefully you do the exercise and you figure out, oh, I see some hand raised. Okay, Olaleko, please. Can you help unmute Olaleko if you can do it?
All right. Good afternoon, good morning. I'm Olaleko. So thanks for the presentation. It's very insightful, right? So for me, funny, I have my background in geology, first degree, but let's see. Okay, so where I want to go, it's to probably become a policy advisor at the national level in United Nations, World Bank, yeah, something like that. So what has been my background is first degree in geology, but petroleum engineering. So I have been doing more of operations, drilling of wells and all of that, you know. So that has been my skill set, data analysis and all whatnot. So, but what I think is for me to achieve that, I've enrolled to do for a second master degree in energy policy, and that's I'm wrapping up very soon. Also, I've taken quite a number of courses with the United Nations, World Bank, in energy policy and sustainability. I've also had quite a mentor in my class because most of my peers in the class work with United Nations and other NGOs with environment and sustainability. So, I mean, those are real now. I'm trying to pivot from what I originally do, although oil and gas is still paying the bills, right? But slowly and gradually, I'm transiting into renewable. Hopefully, once I'm done, have a lot of these courses. Currently, where I work, I probably, I mean, I don't know what will happen in the future, but I probably not been able to transit into the carbon capture team or net zero team. But obviously, I'm trying to see how I can put myself up probably for another employer or those big organizations where I can actually make use of what I've learned and then achieve my end results. Yeah. So.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I love that you shared your story just now with us. And what that says to me is basically engineers or geologists, technologists, wherever you are, whatever experience you've had, you can leverage that clearly to do some good in some other place, right? Whether it's oil and gas or some other industry or sector, you can certainly use whatever skills you've got. You're able to lower the cost of renewables if you eventually get in there, or the cost of sustainable infrastructure for gas, like we're trying to develop gas infrastructure in the country. You're able to make advancements in power generation, distribution, and supply to homes. We see that our grid collapsed the other day. We need engineers who have some of the skills to help us fix our grid deficits or challenges. We need engineers to educate business owners, decision makers, and policy makers on how to drive the policies that help us accelerate the deployment of our new technologies and accelerate that journey as well to a sustainable energy future. We want it sooner than 2030. So we certainly need engineers who can help us make those changes, whether it's policy focused or it's business focused or technology focused. So innovation across the board. Thank you, Olaleko, for sharing your story. So I guess that will be it from us. Kingsley, do you want to add anything else?
I think that's it from us. Thank you for participating. I look at the participants, right? We were 58 solid for a long time, which means a lot of people were retaining people or we retain people. So thank you very much for participating. We will get the recording and share. So back to Fayama.
Mervyn, I just dropped a question for you, a comment. If you can expand a little bit by throwing some insights around how to close this loop of the exercise.
Okay, so in terms of finding jobs, I see that. So this is what I do, or I say to my mentees when I'm helping them work through some of this kind of things, is that once you have now closed the gap, either taking a course or taking up a role or worked on a project or a number of projects that help you build the skill set you require to do that new role that you're seeking. You also want to draw, say, a list of the organizations you would like to work for. So I'd recommend the top 5 or the top 10, depending on what you want. So if you're interested in working with the top 5 or 10, you go for it. If you're not, look out for the organizations that you'd like to work with and draw up that list. Go to their websites, look up what they require from potential recruits or applicants. Find out how the recruitment process goes, where it is they submit the application, look up all of those things. You can also go to LinkedIn and look up the jobs that are available for that company. So maybe I'll try to do that again. Let me just very quickly share my screen. Where was the LinkedIn just now? So let's say I'm looking for a job with Schlumberger. If you want to work in Schlumberger, because clearly we have some new energy jobs. I will go to Schlumberger. And see what jobs are available in Schlumberger. So if you, for example, choose project management, you would see project management on there, and you can click project management, look at what they require for you to apply for the job. You see, you check that you have all of those skills or requirements, and then you click apply. If you don't apply from LinkedIn, you go straight to Schlumberger's website. It even takes you here. So it takes you straight away to Schlumberger website, and then you apply for the job. So once you've done the top 5, top 10, look up what the requirements are for applying for these jobs, look up where they apply for the jobs, and push your application in. One thing you also want to do is make sure that your CV actually reflects those skills, experiences that are relevant to the role that you're looking to apply for. You can also engage someone who works in the organization for guidance on how best to put in a solid application so that you have the advantage of getting the job. So you can pretty much do that for all the companies that you want, and trust that, some favor will come for you, or God's grace will speak up for you when you apply. I do not take the grace of God for granted, so I'd always say it. You make your effort, but you also trust that some grace will come through for you. So do that exercise, and I'm sure you will get a job, 1 or 2 of them, as long as you put in a solid application. Something else I wanted to stress before I finish is going back to this place, is that you want to make sure that you do not just have the essential skills. You want to make sure you have the specialist skills, and specialist skills are those things that qualify you for the particular role. But you also want to have distinguishing skills, something that sets you apart, something that makes you stand out compared to other applicants. So some people would stop at essential, some people would have essential plus specialist, but you want to go above and beyond and have the distinguishing one so that you can clinch that job. Okay, I hope that answered the question.
Hello.
Okay,
Hello.
sorry. Hello, Mubarak. Could you pause for a sec? Thank you, Mervyn. Hello, Mubarak. I've been seeing your hand. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can I come in?
Do you want to ask a question, or do you want to comment on something?
Yes, is like a question, or sometimes like a guide.
Okay, you can ask your question and then we'll go straight to Q&A. Please, for the
Okay.
sake of time, every other person, please just put your questions in the chat box if you have any questions. This would be the
Okay.
only question we'll be taking vocally. Thank you. Go ahead, Mubarak.
Okay. I think I missed the beginning of the meeting, but I would like to. My name is Mubarak Aziz. I'm a chemical engineering graduate with engineering software like Aspen, AutoCAD, MATLAB, and Microsoft Office, and so on. What I think I should grow up my focus or start up on is conversion of waste to sustainable energy and research to precisely. Why I chose this is based on my background and my achievement during school and after school. I've participated in different design and research. Example are American Institute of Chemical Engineering, NSC, and others. And the American Institute of Engineering, I've submitted my abstract, which I was called for. But the problem I have is that most of the conference I get attention is virtual. And I was always told to submit the full design. Though when I submit abstract, is accepted and the PPT orders and are accepted, but I get like I have a problem with submitting a full design. You know what I did, and I should just submit it without no folder. I don't know how to put it, but I get in that case I am somehow afraid. I don't know what to do, and I don't know if having a startup would be the best, or I just need a like mentor or guide on this.
Okay,
Hello.
thank you, Mubarak. I don't know, Kingsley or Mervyn, can you speak to that? Just if, any few comments or guidance that you can give. Thank you.
So Mubarak, I'll text you privately, so we'll discuss on this more.
Okay, so okay, thanks so much.
Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you. So we'll quickly go to Q&A. I think this webinar was very interactive. I think everyone, paid attention and focused on the exercise, the mapping exercise. So we only have, I think I only saw 2 questions. So there was an earlier comment during Kingsley's presentation. Someone was asking, I think his name was Nelson. He asked, how about the inland desert wind power in the north? I think it was during one of your slides that was speaking about how things are happening in Nigeria. So I don't know if you have any, Kingsley, if you have any information on wind power in northern Nigeria and where we are in terms of that research and making it a viable energy source in Nigeria in the future.
So we've done in Nigeria, we've done a data analysis on where we have strong wind and where big viable wind projects or where big projects are viable. And one of the places is that Castina area. So right now there is a project ongoing. I think it started 2016, 2017. A French company was given a contract to build about 37 wind farms in Castina. So yes, we know that around that area there's really strong wind, and it's just for us to start, also changing our policies, because one of the problems they're facing is evacuation, right? If you do 37 wind vanes, where are you going to evacuate to? Your grid is so full that you can't really evacuate to it. So if we change our policies, maybe increase our captive power limits, projects like this will start to come up. But if you can Google Castina wind projects, you'll get more information on that.
Kingsley, thanks for that clarification. I'm sure Nelson is listening and he will research on that. So we just have one more question from James Ale. Says, when you talk about career path, those who are still in school studying petroleum engineering, it's like a question. What is their take on this? Because from the disciplines you have mentioned in the slides, petroleum engineering field wasn't mentioned. I think this would be directed to Mervyn. So he's saying, you know, in your analysis and your mapping
I can
exercises.
answer this. So petroleum engineering is divided into three, right? Reservoir engineering, drilling, and production on the university level. So
I don't know if it's just me or did we lose Kingsley?
I think we may have lost Kingsley. So I mean,
okay.
Like he was saying, petroleum engineering is captured in those three things that we may have allied to, even though we didn't particularly write petroleum engineering there. But we still believe that petroleum engineers have transferable skills. So whether you're currently studying petroleum engineering in university, there will be jobs for you. We're not necessarily going to do without oil and gas in the next 1 or 2 years. Oil and gas will still be relevant, and those skills will be required to help us develop those and deploy them in sustainable ways.
Indeed. So, James, I hope you're still online, and I hope you heard that. You still have a lot of transferable skills in petroleum engineering. As mentioned, there are a lot of subdivisions under petroleum engineering, drilling, geology, reservoir engineering, and the likes. So that will be all for the Q&A. And at this point, I will yield the floor to my able chair, Fayama, to give closing remarks and votes of thanks. Fayama, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Thank you.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kerry. So I really want to use this opportunity to thank everyone who has joined into the call. It's been an awesome, insightful session. Personally, I could quickly wrap up some conclusions around Kingsley and Mervyn's presentation. First of all, start where you are. There is no degree or course you have going today that is not valuable tomorrow. Start where you are. The opportunities abound, and petroleum engineering is not going anywhere. It's still very valuable, and it was shown on the screen. So there's really an open playing field for everyone to still find their space in the energy transition. Okay, so on this note, I sincerely thank Kingsley Okenyi and Mervyn Azita. This has been an excellent presentation. And I believe that people who joined, at least one or two, would use it as a pivot to getting into their next opportunity, because that's the value that we want to bring to everyone. So at SPE Lagos, we continue to develop this kind of programs that would reach the different demographics of people, right? Irrespective of where you are in the industry today, no matter your number of years of experience, there is something for you to gain from SPE Lagos. So I implore everyone to follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on the other platforms, so you keep abreast of these programs. So after this, this marks the last of the series on new energy. We are moving into the next series on core petroleum engineering. We're not going anywhere. We are all petroleum engineers. We continue to have those conversations. So in the next series, we will have business leaders and technical experts give us similar, very valuable conversations on petroleum engineering core topics. So on this note, I really appreciate everyone, especially our presenters. Do have a great day ahead. So Chooks, over to you again.
All right, thank you so much, Fayama, our able section chair. And also on behalf of the Young Professionals Committee, I also want to thank Mervyn and Kingsley for doing us the honors of taking us to this wonderful session. I just quickly want to give a few announcements. So we have Scholarship Fair 2020 that's coming up on the 19th of March by 11 a.m. If you are on, following us on social media or in any of our WhatsApp groups, you would have probably seen this particular announcement, and you would be able to register with the link right there. It's bit.ly/SPE, all caps, Lagos with capital L _ SF 2022. And then we also have a D&I event titled Unconscious Bias, a major disabler of diversity, brought to you by the students sections. It's a collaboration of all the student sections in Lagos, and that is coming up on the 19th of March 2022. That is actually this Saturday. So also we have a visit to Paseli School of the Blind to commission a Braille machine that was donated. And we also have the SP Lagos Section 2022 Diversity and Inclusion D&I event. So 2 D&I events, one from the students committees, and then one hosted by the Lagos section. So that is the one for the SP Lagos section is happening on 24th of March from 11 a.m. Details for participating in this particular event will be shared on all our social media handles. Speaking about social media, next slide, please. Your next slide, please. Okay, so please follow us on social media, SP Lagos Section 61 on LinkedIn, SP_Lagos, Twitter, SP_Lagos on Instagram, SP.Lagos on Facebook, and our YouTube channel, SP Lagos. For inquiries on membership, you can contact Odion, our section admin. His numbers are there, or Obianuju Ibokwe, our membership chair. You can also contact Chinayem or Haji. Please visit our website, sp.org/en/membership to see all the many benefits that you stand to get as a fully registered paying SPE member. So on this note, I think I would like to bring this wonderful webinar session to an end.
Hi, Kerry.
Thank you all for joining.
Hi, Kerry.
Okay, sorry, who is? Oh,
yeah,
Fayama, is that you? Please go ahead.
Yes. So someone just dropped a very important chat message that we should turn on our cameras and take a combined screen grab of our faces. So everyone on the call, we still have 46 people. That would be great to get.
Okay, great. Please, as many of you as can put on your video just for this quick snapshot. If you are in a place where you can do that. Odion, please help us do the needful to take a screenshot of us. Odion, I hope you got that. Please confirm verbally.
Yes, I'm here and
all right, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, quickly dash to your room and put on your makeover, and let's quickly take some pictures. Thank you. Okay. So people are getting ready. Let's just wait for,
Hold on, I'm getting my powder.
Aha, I know somebody was going to do that. Yeah. So 10 seconds, we would start clicking and put up your best smiles. Okay, thank you. All right, let's click away. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If you are join us fast. I think I've taken like 10 screenshots already. All right, I will do 2 more. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Odion.
Thank you, man.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye, Fireman. Kerry,
Bye,
good
everyone.
job. Well done.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Well done. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.